You know, folks say you can find anything on the internet these days, except maybe the keys you dropped behind the couch just 5 minutes ago. But I digress. Today, we're diving into history. And no, not the boring kind they made you memorize in school. We're talking Civil War history, y'all, and specifically the top 5 battlefields you gotta see right here in beautiful North Carolina. So buckle up, grab your sweet tea, and get ready to learn something. All right, let's kick things off with the big kahuna Bentonville. This wasn't just some little skirmish, folks. This was the largest battle fought in North Carolina. Imagine over 85,000 soldiers clashing right here in our backyard. It was March of 1865, the Confederacy was hanging on by a thread, and this battle was their last stand in the state. Spoiler alert, it didn't go so well for them. The fighting raged for 3 days, and when the smoke cleared, thousands were dead or wounded. Walking these grounds today, you can practically feel the weight of history. The trenches, the cannons, the monuments, they all whisper stories of bravery, sacrifice, and the sheer chaos of war. It's a sobering experience, but an important one. The museum here is filled with artifacts that bring the battle to life. Letters from soldiers, uniforms, and weapons tell personal stories of those who fought. Reenactments and educational programs help visitors understand the tactics and strategies used. It's a place where families can learn together and reflect on the past. Today, Bentonville stands as a peaceful reminder of a turbulent time in our history. Now, let's mosey on down to the coast, where the salty breeze carries whispers of history and the waves tell tales of old. Today, we're diving into the story of Fort Fisher, a place steeped in rich history and strategic significance. This fort was like the Fort Knox of its day, a formidable guardian of the vital port of Wilmington, North Carolina. Wilmington was more than just a port. It was a lifeline for the Confederacy during the Civil War. It was the last major port open to blockade runners, those daring ships that slipped through Union blockades to bring in much-needed supplies. Fort Fisher stood as their first line of defense, and it was a tough nut to crack. The fort was a marvel of military engineering, designed to withstand the fiercest of attacks. Massive earthen walls could absorb cannon fire, 40-foot-tall sand dunes provided natural protection, and enough firepower to make your head spin. Cannons lined the fort, ready to unleash a barrage of destruction on any approaching enemy. The Union forces tried twice to capture this stronghold. The first attempt was in December of 1864, but they were sent packing after a fierce battle. The fort's defenders held their ground. But in January of 1865, the Union forces returned with a vengeance. This time, they were determined to take Fort Fisher, and they brought overwhelming numbers and firepower. After a brutal assault, the fort finally fell. The fall of Fort Fisher was a devastating blow to the Confederacy. It effectively cut off their supply line, hastening the end of the war. Today, walking through the ruins of Fort Fisher, you can almost hear the echoes of the past. The cannons may be silent, but their presence is still felt. The sand dunes stand as silent sentinels, guarding the memories of those who fought and fell here. It's a powerful reminder of the strategic importance of this place, a testament to the bravery and determination of those who defended it. Fort Fisher's story is a chapter in the larger narrative of the Civil War, a story of struggle, sacrifice, and the relentless march of history. Chapter 3. Averasboro, a desperate fight. Next up, we're heading to Averasboro, a small town that witnessed a surprisingly fierce battle. This quaint town, nestled in the heart of North Carolina, became the stage for a dramatic and intense confrontation during the Civil War. It was March of 1865, and General William T. Sherman, the Union general known for his march to the sea, was making his way through North Carolina. Sherman's campaign was relentless, aiming to cripple the Confederacy's ability to wage war. The Confederate forces, led by General Hardee, were trying desperately to slow him down. Hardee, a seasoned commander, understood the strategic importance of delaying Sherman's advance. The stakes were high, and the determination on both sides was palpable. The Confederates dug in, determined to hold their ground, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. They fortified their positions, creating makeshift defenses in the hope of withstanding the Union onslaught. The battle raged for hours, a brutal back and forth in the swamps and pine forests. The terrain was unforgiving, with dense underbrush and muddy ground making movement difficult. Both sides suffered heavy casualties. Though the Confederates fought bravely, they were eventually forced to retreat. Their lines broke under the relentless pressure of the Union assault. The retreat was chaotic, with soldiers scrambling to regroup and avoid capture. Today, Averasboro Battlefield is a peaceful place, but the stories of the soldiers who fought and died here still echo through the trees. The battlefield has been preserved as a historical site, with markers and memorials honoring the bravery and sacrifice of those who fought. Chapter 4. Fort Macon, a coastal sentinel. Now let's head back to the coast and visit Fort Macon, a majestic star-shaped fort that's guarded the Outer Banks for centuries. Built in the early 1800s, Fort Macon saw action in both the Civil War and the War of 1812. During the Civil War, it was initially held by the Confederacy, but in 1862, Union forces captured it after a fierce bombardment. The fort's strategic location at the entrance to Beaufort Inlet made it a prime target. Today, you can explore the fort's well-preserved walls, climb to the top of the parapet for breathtaking views, and even witness historical reenactments that bring the past to life. It's a fascinating glimpse into coastal defense and the realities of 19th century warfare. The fort also houses a museum with exhibits that delve deeper into its storied past, offering visitors a comprehensive understanding of its role in American history. Beyond the fort itself, the surrounding park offers picnic areas and beach access, making it a perfect spot for a day trip. As the sun sets, Fort Macon takes on a serene beauty, with its walls illuminated against the evening sky, providing a picturesque end to your visit. Chapter 5. Monroe's Crossroads, a cavalry clash. Last but not least, we come to Monroe's Crossroads, the site of a pivotal cavalry battle. This clash, though not as famous as Gettysburg or Antietam, played a crucial role in the final days of the Civil War. It was a testament to the relentless spirit and determination of both the Union and Confederate forces. It was March of 1865, and the war was winding down, but the fighting was far from over. The Union and Confederate armies were still engaged in fierce skirmishes, each side trying to gain the upper hand in the closing months of the conflict. The soldiers, weary from years of battle, continued to fight with unwavering resolve. Confederate cavalry, led by the legendary General Wade Hampton, were camped near the crossroads when they were surprised by a Union cavalry division. Hampton, a seasoned and respected leader, had been instrumental in many Confederate victories. His troops, though exhausted, were well trained and ready for battle. The result was a chaotic close-quarters fight, with horses and riders clashing in the mud and smoke. The battlefield was a scene of utter confusion, with the sounds of gunfire, the clash of swords, and the cries of men and horses filling the air. The muddy conditions made maneuvering difficult, adding to the chaos of the battle. The Union forces managed to capture a Confederate wagon train and inflict heavy casualties, but Hampton and his men escaped. Despite the Union's tactical victory, the Confederates' ability to retreat and regroup meant that the fight was far from over. Though often overshadowed by larger battles, Monroe's Crossroads serves as a reminder that even in the waning days of the conflict, every skirmish carried significance. The bravery and tenacity displayed by the soldiers at Monroe's Crossroads exemplify the enduring human spirit in the face of adversity. This battle, like many others, is a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made by those who fought in the Civil War. Well, folks, there you have it. 5 incredible Civil War battlefields right here in North Carolina. Each one of these places has a story to tell, a story of courage, sacrifice, and the enduring legacy of our nation's past. So next time you're looking for an adventure that's both educational and awe-inspiring, I encourage you to visit these historic sites. You won't be disappointed. And hey, if you enjoyed this little history lesson, be sure to give this video a big old thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. We're talking history, travel, and everything in between, all delivered with a healthy dose of Southern charm. New videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so stay tuned.